All right, so we have squats today, and just the squats. I think what I want to do today is like, obviously, just like with rebuilding the squats, the name of the game each time is just like do better than last time, So if we squat on Monday, doing better than we did last Monday, So the basic goal is just to do better than we did last Wednesday, And that being said, we are going to go up to 495 today, and I'd say I'd like to hit that up for 2, because like when I was first getting into squats, I was working with 405 a lot, as I was rebuilding the strength, and the name of the game was just like having 405 going back to being lightweight, and we've done that. So like you guys have seen me as of recently working a lot with 495. So the name of the game with that is just to get that back to being lightweight, get that back to being a warm-up. So I've been kind of sticking around 495, 500 for these top sets. So we got 4 sets of 2, and the goal is I would like to go up to 495 for a set of 2. And if that's not the case, we hit it up for 1, and it kind of feels like poopy dog shit, then we'll just do it for 1 and then do a second set of 1 with 495. You know what I'm saying? And then just keep doing the set of 1 until we either do all of the sets, all 4, with 495, or until we can't anymore, and then we'll just do, descending for the rest of them. So like if we get 2 sets of 495 for 1, and then we're kind of burnt out at that point, and that third set we'll, put on a little bit less weight for that last set, a little less weight, you know what I mean? But at the very most, I'd like to do a couple sets of 495 for 2, or 1 set of 495 for 2, and then sets of 495 for 1. And then at the very least, I'd like to do 2 sets of 1 with the 495 before we have to take off some weight, you know what I'm saying? So anywhere in between that, I'm happy with. But we're gonna go ahead and warm up with the 495 and see how much damage we can do with that weight today. So I'm gonna be real with y'all. Realistically, this is looking like, see how many sets we can do with 495 for 1, to be honest. I think the day, if we wanted to try and get 495 for 2, like multiple sets of 2, that would have been Monday. You know what I mean? Like that top of the week, like well rested, coming off a rested weekend, like that would have been the day to do it. But like Wednesday, just being on the powerlifting grind, and I forgot to stretch today as well, kind of just like don't have that same energy, that same strength, after all the wear and tear that you do on a Monday. So, and then also on top of that, I misread the program. I was saying before, like next week is like another just week of the training, and then that 10th week is gonna be when we test our shit. No, it's not how it works. Like for some reason, I'm guessing because it's a beginner program, it says on the sheet like test your 3 rep max, you know what I mean? But I looked at that and I was like, oh, this is just like the last of the workout in that 10th week. No, like you are supposed to test your max, but for whatever reason, this program is weird and it doesn't say test your 1 rep max, it says 3 rep max. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, so basically, not to confuse y'all, but not like next week is when we test our maxes. So I don't want to go too OD and try to do this for multiple sets of 2 and like fucking fry ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So we're just gonna hit these up for 4 sets of 1 and just focus on, the form and whatnot, but also just as we said in the beginning, getting comfortable with 495 and having this go back to being a warm up. You know what I'm saying? Like we have succeeded in making the 405 feel like 315 again. Now we need to succeed with making that 495 feel like that 405. All right, Now the goal is at least to the next set, 495 by 1, you know, and then just keep it going till we either finish all 4 sets with the 495, or like I said, at least do that second set 495 before we start dropping weight off. Feeling like tight all over, bro. Definitely not the best move for getting the stretch. But you know, complaining isn't gonna solve anything. Just gotta shut the fuck up and do it. All right, so we accomplished the bare minimum of the goal, which is good. So we're gonna go ahead and get this 495 off, and then probably just hit on like, take into account just the RPE of those 2 sets of 1. We'll probably just take off the 45s and put on a 25 and finish up with a 455 for feel it out as soon as we pick it up, either for 2 sets of 2 or 2 sets of 1. And I would say that's a good squat day, especially with our goal, like I said, being 530 next week. That's really good. We got on the 455, gonna hit this up for 1 to 2 sets, and hopefully for the last 2, or 1 to 2 reps, and hopefully for the last 2 sets. I'm feeling it pretty bad, I can't lie to y'all. So I'm just hoping that, you know, this is good weight and that we don't have to go down any lower than this. Because I feel like if we do have to, at that point, below the 455, even just with, you know, like how much effort we had to put in for doing the 495 for 2 sets of 1, I will be dissatisfied with that. I will be. And I'm gonna take it out on all of you and follow you home. And what happens behind those closed doors will be what happens. 3rd set, 455, attempt, 1 to 2 reps. We're definitely gonna be able to do the last set for 1. I'm gonna try to thug it out for 2. I fully believe we can. I think the main problem right now is just my back. Like, we're not, I mean, don't worry, we don't have another injury coming or anything. You know, isn't a case where like something feels wrong, we should stop and injury, whatnot. No, it's just, I'm very tight. I'm very, very, very tight, kind of just all over, like I said, just, I mean, do your stretching, guys. I'm telling you, like even just skipping 1 stretch session could definitely fuck you up. So, you know, just skipping that or just forgetting to stretch, it's taking its toll, especially with it being later in the week after I've done everything already. So I'm just feeling very, very tight. And because my back is very tight, when I pick up that weight, I do feel it. Doesn't feel good. And what's going on is just like when I get into positioning, right, I brace, right? It's very hard for me to stay tight in this position. You know what I mean? And it hurts, you know, it's really tight. So when I go down, you know, it just gets more and more uncomfortable to deal with. So I end up going down like this as I'm squatting, you know what I mean? So it's like, I pick it up, you know, I brace, get in a position, and I'm trying to go down like this, but I'm just too tight back here. So I end up going like this. And it's like fucking up my positioning and causing me to also wink. So it's just not good. So I'll say the way we're moving this weight, the fact we are moving this weight, it is good considering that, but you know, I am not too upset with how things are moving because it's more of a matter of just like, I'm very, very tight and it's fucking up my path rather than just we ain't strong, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna try to thug it out for this last set and just, just to feel better about myself, even though we shouldn't feel like shit, it's just like we learn from it. What do we learn? Don't neglect the stretching. Try to not forget it, but it will still just be like a pick-me-up, just to hit this for 2. For my female audience, let me know if this gets you going. Anyways, last set. I'm gonna try to grind it out, but again, just the fact that we have peak week next week, we will be maxing, you know what I mean? And just the fact that like our body is incredibly tight, and me personally, I think what tore the leg was just like we went into it way too tight, and then we felt something, and then also like, definitely could have been prevented and it wouldn't have taken this long to heal and be fucked up. Like what really broke the camel's back, if you will, was me going into another set after that had happened. But what initially started that was just going into it way too tight, so that being said, we are gonna listen to our bodies, you know what I mean? Like we already established that we shouldn't feel too bad about ourselves because how the weight is moving today is less of a reflection of just like how much strength we have, as seen with how easily we were moving, this weight and more on Monday. But it's more of a reflection of just like what happens when you don't stretch after your body is just lifting a lot of weights throughout the week. You feel very, very fucking tight, you know what I'm saying? So if we do the first rep and like our body is screaming just like very tight, we will put it down, you know what I mean? And just be happy with how because we did do the minimum goal that we set of just doing 495 for multiple sets of more than one, before having to take off the weight. So you can't be angry. Anyways, last set, 455, 1 to 2 reps. Good. I feel like we could have hit that up for like a set of 4. So glad that we could finish up on a good note, but like I said, all things considered, we did hit a minimum, but still one of the goals, 495 for multiple sets of 1, you know what I mean? And we did finish up with the 455 and even hit, that for 2 reps on that last set. And the weight moved pretty well, considering that we are very, very fucking tight and not really able to lift the way we usually would without fighting some sort of demons. Referring to my bar path, it's very hard to do my natural, what works, bar path on the squat when I'm like that. So I'm happy with that, and just also keeping in mind that the goal is 430 or more. So hitting 495 for multiple sets of 1, and then also 510 pounds on Monday. I feel very good going into peak week next week with what we were able to accomplish on the squat this week, and still better, than more weight than what we did last Wednesday. So I will see you guys when it is the promised week, next week, peak week. Starting with the squats actually. So I'm gonna do a lot of recovery, stretching, make sure we're getting our protein in, and a lot of praying as well.